area. There are lots of restaurants and shops and things to do. So it's a great area if you want to very much be in that student bubble. We also have a PC cluster there, as well as a sports centre. So it's quite a good place to be if you want to be part of the students' hub, if you like. So even if you live in Fallowfield, you can walk or take the bus. Oxford Road, which is the main road that runs between all of them, is one of the busiest bus routes in Europe. So it's very easy to get a bus, or cycling now is becoming even more popular too. So it's really up to you which location you would prefer. Again, speak to the students from ManPASS about their experiences and decide for yourselves based on your budget and the level of convenience you would like. So I can't stress enough that you should submit your application very soon. The deadline is the 31st of this month. Most agreements start on the 14th of September. So when you're booking your flights, you'll want to arrive around the 14th. It's a good idea to check with the individual hall of residence what time they open their doors, because some of them may open You will be allocated a hall. By the way, when you apply, you can submit your top 3 preferences, and we try to give people their preferences as much as possible. But obviously, the earlier you apply, the higher chance you've got of this. If you'd like more information about any of these dormitories, please have a look on the website, or as I mentioned, speak to the students in the room with you. I'm sure they'd be happy to give you their advice. The other option that's available is private accommodation. There are many private providers in Manchester. Some of them may be more expensive, some of them may be cheaper. I would recommend staying with university accommodation, particularly if it's your first year, or if you're an undergraduate first year, because you'll be guaranteed accommodation. We can also pick you up from Manchester International Airport. And also, many of our halls have a minimum level of security and also run their own social events, whereas you won't get any of that with a private provider. So these are things to bear in mind when you're choosing where you want to live. We also have a very good service called Manchester Student Homes, which is a website which has a list of trusted landlords. So if you want to go and live in a private house, you can use that resource to find a suitable property. They also have an office in Fallowfield, so you can go and speak to them face to face as well. And Manchester Student Homes is co-run by 4 other universities. Students like to live in university accommodation in the first year, and then if you're doing undergraduate in the subsequent years, live in private accommodation. So I strongly recommend using this resource if that's something you would consider. Okay, so it's a lot of information to take in, so I appreciate that you will have lots of questions, and if you do, then I have asked ManPASS to pass those questions on to me if there are any which they are unable to answer. But many of you should have received some guides in the post, so the arrival guide, as well as the My Manchester and Get Ready guide. If you have only just received an offer and have not received these yet and would like to, I can also send you a PDF version as well. So if you would like a PDF version, then just let ManPASS know and they can pass on your details to me, and I'll send you those copies as well. They're very useful publications which detail exactly what you need to do before you come here, as well as when you arrive. And when you do arrive, it's all kicking off in the first couple of weeks of September with student welcome and orientation. So it's a fantastic time of year, my favourite time of year in fact, when we welcome all of our new students to the campus. It starts off with collecting international students from the airport. So if you're flying to Manchester International Airport, we do have a free airport collection service that is running from the 12th to the 17th of September. Again, the details of this are on our website. So do take advantage of that if you are flying to Manchester International Airport. Currently we have a direct flight to Hong Kong with Cathay Pacific. So it's a really short 10-hour flight, very convenient for you. And then orientation and welcome takes place from the 15th to the 17th of September. That's a really fun time of year because you'll be involved in lots of workshops, welcome talks, as well as social events as well. So there are welcome presentations about living in Manchester, how to sign up with a doctor, English language support, how to register. This is the time when you will collect your BRP card as well. Remember the second part of your visa that I mentioned. And also we'll help you to open a bank account. We'll tell you all about the National Health Service, money, banking, the support services we have on campus, as well as social events as well. So things like treasure hunts, city tours, campus tours, parties, barbecues, lots of events to help you settle in and start making friends. So it's a really good time of year to be on the campus in Manchester, and I strongly recommend that you arrive in time for those events because they're completely free and they're a really good way to help you settle in. Okay, and in terms of what you should really bring with you to Manchester in your luggage, of course it's very important that you bring important documents, so your offer letter, your passport. If you have any medication, please bring a prescription with you as well, your visa. Also bring some cash as well. It's always useful to have some cash. And also details of your accommodation, so make sure you know exactly where you need to go. If you're going to get travel insurance, bring those details as well. So all of your important documents should be brought with you, as well as your valuable items too. In your check-in baggage, bring some warm clothing. We recommend layers because in September the weather can be quite changeable in Manchester, so bring some layers, but there's no need to pack your entire wardrobe because there's lots and lots of shopping in Manchester, so you can get all sorts of brands, whether it's second-hand clothes or high-end or in between high street brands. So don't worry too much about bringing your entire wardrobe. And of course, things like anything that reminds you of home. So perhaps you might want to bring some of your favourite snacks or foods from Hong Kong. But as I mentioned before, we are pretty good at catering for Chinese students from Hong Kong. We have a very good dim sum restaurant just close to the campus. You can also buy bubble waffles here, bubble egg waffles, bubble tea. So there's lots of stuff available. And again, ask the students about their experiences. So I'm very excited for you to come to Manchester because I personally love Manchester. I've lived here for 8 years now, and I came as a student as well, and I've decided to stay. Manchester, for those of you who have not been before, is in the middle of the UK, considered in the north of England, and many people consider it to be the capital of the north of England. The international airport is about half an hour from the campus by taxi, or about 50 minutes by bus. You can also take the train as well. And we have several large train stations. The main one, Piccadilly, is the one to go to London. So if you wanted to visit London, it's only 2 hours by train, and those trains depart every 20 to 30 minutes. Other famous cities as well are very close by, so Liverpool, Leeds, York, Sheffield, Birmingham are all within 1 to 2 hours from Manchester by train. So it's a very, very well-connected city. And it is a city, it's a great place to be. There's lots of shopping, culture, sports, festivals, arts, theatre, but you can also get out into the countryside very easily as well. So of course, hiking is very famous in Hong Kong. You can also do that in Manchester or nearby. We've got 3 national parks that surround Manchester, such as the Peak District and the Lake District. So do take advantage of that if you're interested in that, because the city is actually very well located for a variety of activities. And this image shows the university in relation to the city centre. So as I mentioned before, it's about a 10-15 minute walk from the centre of our campus to the city centre. And there are lots of cafes, and shops located around the university. It's very much seen as part of the city of Manchester. Campus. We have an art gallery on our campus. The hospitals are next door to our campus. Another university is next door. So it's very much part of the city centre. And the city itself is very manageable as well. It's a very good alternative to a larger city like London. You can walk from one side of Manchester to the other in about 45 minutes or so. So now I'm just going to show you quickly some images of the campus so you have an idea of what it's like. This particular building, this modern building, is called the Alan Gilbert Learning Commons. That's open 24 hours a day during term time, so it's a really great place to study. And you can see as well that that's actually just opposite one of the oldest buildings on campus, so it's a really nice mixture of architecture that you'll find when you're here as a student. These pictures were taken from Twitter that were actually taken from students themselves, so it's a really nice way to get an idea of what it's like. This building on this picture is our School of Arts, Languages and Cultures, so any of you studying languages or philosophy or history, you'll be based in this particular building for most of the time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to welcoming you to the campus itself too. And the city itself, as I mentioned, very lively, dynamic, lots of festivals. We have a huge Chinese New Year festival. We've also got dragon boat racing. We've got a Chinese art centre in the centre of the city, and also a Confucius Institute. And if you wanted to learn other languages, the Alliance Française, the German Culture Institute, and the Spanish Culture Institute. We also have offices in the city centre, so it's a very multicultural city to be in. As I mentioned, Chinatown is hugely popular with Chinese students, of course, in particular. The Northern Quarter is a great district if you like cafe culture, and the Curry Mile is very famous for Indian and South Asian restaurants. So we have a huge amount of choice in terms of food as well, not only on campus but in the city. In fact, last February, it was found that more new restaurants were opening in Manchester than in London. So you can get all sorts. You can get Turkish, Indian, Korean, Japanese, Cantonese, all within just a short walking distance of the university. So if you'd like to find out more about Manchester, please do check out these websites or speak to the students at the events tonight. And that's really the best way to find out more about coming to Manchester. So again, I thank ManPASS for holding this event, and it's a really great opportunity to ask them questions. Do have a look at our orientation Facebook page as well. There's much more information on there about the orientation and welcome programme during September. And also have a look on our website. We have some profiles from previous students who have come from Hong Kong and Macau. So this particular student is Casper, who studied his master's degree here, and so they're all listed on our main website. Otherwise, feel free to email us in the international office or follow us on social media as well. Now I'm going to hand back over to ManPASS now, but once again, thank you very much for coming to this event and to ManPASS for hosting it. Do take the opportunity to ask them as many questions as you can about student life and what it's like to be a student in Manchester. I will also be available here for the next half an hour or so, so if you have any more technical